Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is another webinar. My name is EJ White. I'm the head of growth over here at Beehiiv. We've partnered with growthtools.com to bring you this webinar today. We're doing a little bit of like a cross-pollination with Brian Harris and his team. They'll be doing a webinar to our audience tomorrow. But today, I have some time to speak with everyone. I think we have an hour allotted, so a lot to get through in that time. I have a big presentation to present. First time doing this to an outside audience from our platforms. Usually I have a little bit of an intro slide in terms of the housekeeping and stuff like that. If we have time, we can do a bit of a Q&A. Otherwise, happy to do, oh, here's Cody. He can give an instruction too. Happy to do Q&A as we go. Tony and Duncan, how's my sound?
It's good. When I first hopped on, it was like echoing a little, but it seems better now. So
okay, cool. Let's see. Let me just make sure my mic is, yeah, it's the right mic. Okay, cool. Awesome, Cody. I was just doing a little intro. You want to give a little bit, tee it up a little bit? I was just telling them how we're doing a little collaboration between Beehiiv and growthtools.com, but happy to have you add any color.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, I've been following Beehiiv for a couple of years, like maybe even 2.5 years when I first heard of Beehiiv. I actually started my own newsletter on Beehiiv's platform a little over 2 years ago, and I've just absolutely loved it ever since then. It's allowed me to grow my own audience, separate from my full-time position here at Growth Tools as their director of partnerships, and just love everything they do. They are moving so fast. They're on the cutting edge of everything when it comes to email marketing and audience growth, and also monetizing audiences from wherever your audience may be right now, or if you have zero audience, they have the tools, the training, the know-how, the brain power, and the humans to back you up and support you in a way that is just unparalleled right now in the email marketing landscape. It's seriously just an honor and a pleasure to be able to have EJ here and to be able to host this training to all of y'all here from Growth Tools audience. Thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up live. And yeah, take it away, EJ.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that intro, Cody. Just in case anyone's wondering, because there's always a few, we are recording. We'll be able to publish this after the fact and are happy to share that link. And if you signed up, I think everybody must have signed up through the page, you will get the autoresponder in about 2 hours that has the link to where it will be held once we publish it. We keep them on our section of our blog, so you can check that out when you get that email. It usually is 2 or 3 days. We're in the middle of switching editors, so it may be a little bit more than a couple days, maybe early next week. But we will get that out with you, and we generally include any of the resources that we discuss in the course of the conversation. So with that said, I can jump right in. So today's topic, we're going to talk about why email is far from dead. I probably don't have to convince many people here of that, but in the broader marketing world, there is some skepticism. We're going to cover a playbook or a roadmap of how you can massively supercharge your growth and increase your leads using a newsletter. Full disclosure, I'm pretty sure when we chose the 12X, I'm not actually sure where that was based in. I think when Tyler originally gave this talk to traffic and conversion at the beginning of the year, we were advised that just having a number made the talk sound a lot more impressive. So I think we just picked 12, but there's probably a number in here that relates to that. But it could be 12, it could be 100 times. It really depends on your business. Infinitely scale your leads could also be another title to this. So yeah, we'll jump into things. Who am I? My name is EJ White. I'm the head of growth over here at Beehiiv. First employee, been over here around 3 years and have overseen the growth of the company from when I joined, we were at $3,000 a month MRR. We are at north of 1.1 million, I think, at this point. So from about $40,000 ARR to over 13 million, I'm sorry, not over 1 million. We passed 1 million a long time ago, over 13 million. I'm joining from Brooklyn, New York. I just moved here in July, so still a little bit getting settled, but originally from Baltimore. Lived in Baltimore most of my life, also lived around the world a little bit, but our company's totally remote. We're based around the country. You can't see him, but our producer, Tony, is here. He's also just happens to be here in New York as well. I think he's over in Queens. But our team is all over the place. Our CEO sits in LA. We have people in North Carolina, South Carolina, Singapore, Helsinki, Finland, Netherlands. Not quite every country, but we have a good distribution around the world. We don't have a physical office. We are just doing it remote. Why am I here today? I'm here today because Beehiiv today we've built this company into one that powers many of the world's top newsletters. We have a really tremendous slate of names that we're about to release as soon as the deals are closed, but until when we're able to talk to them about the names. There's several household name brands, legacy media companies that are being launched. I could probably say them, but I don't know what the technical requirements are for saying that. But names that you guys have all heard of will be announced over the coming days and weeks, just as our latest slate of taking over the world of newsletters. Some of the ones here, Milk Road, one of the top crypto newsletters, sold for 8 figures after starting from day one with Beehiiv. If you're a fan of the creator economy, we host Colin and Samir's newsletter called The Publish Press, and a bunch in between. Those are just two of the marquee ones, but Boston Globe runs their newsletters through us, Arnold Schwarzenegger, a ton of creators who I'm a little too old to know who they are, but very impressive what we've been able to do in the short time. Obviously, some of the logos here, I should have just read the logos because those are the ones that I just mentioned. So we'll start from very basic. I don't know necessarily the background of everyone in this call. When we did this presentation to traffic and conversion, we took the perspective of we were going to be talking to a kind of a wide range of marketers. And so we wanted to lead people along the path in case there's folks who are not native to the world of email. When we think about email marketing, what is email marketing? Email marketing traditionally is very sales driven. If you're one of these brands, you're gearing up for Black Friday, you're going to be sending promotional emails. Most businesses run email lists whose purpose is to either inform of activities along the customer journey lifecycle or to drive promotions. And in either case, either driving awareness of those promotions or driving conversion directly. Think about like promotional emails or those abandoned cart emails that you get after you view a landing page. On the other side of things, you have more content-driven email marketing, and this is where we really fall in with newsletters. And so what we're looking at here is more content-driven media, almost like the kind of content that you're going to consume on a blog or on social media, but in the email format. So in this case, our goals are generally to entertain, educate, and generally provide some sort of value to the user. Now, making money obviously is not mutually exclusive to these goals, but when you think about when you think about newsletters in the realm of email marketing, this is really where you start, and then the other things come along. You don't start from a perspective of, okay, we're going to build this newsletter and it's immediately going to just start printing leads and sales. It's truly a relationship that you're building at scale with your readers. So in that way, it's almost very much like the Gary V jab right hook type of mentality where you're providing content, you're providing education, you're providing value. And then once you've built that trust, then there's the opportunity to monetize and that way build something that will provide a lot of value for a long time. So when we talk about newsletters, we refer to them as publishers. Moving down, a lot of times when we're talking about email marketing and brands, those are going to be like the businesses that are running newsletters. When we're talking about the brands in newsletters, we really refer to them as publishers. They are media brands. But on one side of the marketplace are publishers. So here's just a selection of some of our favorites, some of the longtime publishers. And then we have brands that are more focused around business. So we have here on this, what is this? Logos are small. Brex is one of them. It looks like I chopped out the logos, but Caterpillar, all of these companies are running newsletters in addition to their main brand stuff, but they're first and foremost brands rather than more of these educational or like traditional newsletter publishers. And then you have talent. So these are influencers, anybody with any kind of digital following, any kind of celebrity or influence over an audience. So the question is, why are all of these people, why is everyone starting newsletters? Why are newsletters having a moment? And I would argue that they're not really having a moment. Newsletters have existed since the dawn of email virtually. They're really having a kind of a renaissance or a resurgence, almost like YouTube. I remember YouTube when I was in middle school, and it was very different than it is today, but it was still around. I knew kids in middle school who were making videos for YouTube, and it wasn't until maybe 5 or 6 years ago that YouTube really hit its stride. And so as we see with a lot of things in the internet, these things that have staying power, they come and go in waves and shifts. And we're right now, I think, very early on a wave that is growing as we look at things like social media and algorithms and people's pushback against these ways in which we receive media. They're pulling back and choosing to curate their experiences through newsletters. So why are everyone launching newsletters? With newsletters, you own your audience. You have that one-to-one connection with users. reliable distribution. You don't have to fight algorithms. You don't have to worry about being deplatformed. You don't have to worry about the distribution channel that you use, like TikTok, being blocked by the government. You get first-party data that can be incredibly valuable for other parts of your marketing stack. You can take that audience with you. There's no blocking. If you want to use one tool to send your newsletters or send your emails, you can always take that data and move to another platform. You're not locked in. It's a distraction-free environment relatively. There's no JSON or JavaScript within emails. There's no pop-ups. It's a very focused experience. And the kind of written media really requires attention. There's no distraction of it playing in the background or muting it while you do something else. And lastly, I think as marketers, we've all heard the statistic about conversion in terms of email. Every dollar you spend on email having a $42 ROI. Email has been shown to drive an incredibly much higher conversion rate than just about, if not all other forms of media or other channels of media. And yes, there will be a replay. We are recording this. What are the purposes? Like, why do people want to launch newsletters? There's kind of three major categories. One, to launch a standalone product. So if you're a trusted expert in the space, if there's like a need for content in your area, and if you or if you have a database of customer emails that you really want to nurture and build a relationship with. This is really one of those drivers of why newsletters are having such a resurgence, because that first bullet point, as people have less faith and less trust in the mainstream traditional forms of news, where people are gathering what's happening and then reporting back to you on it, where there's a middle person and that perspective comes through the lens of that reporter. Many people are trying to cut out that middleman, just like everything else in the economy. They're trying to cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. And with a newsletter, it provides an unparalleled way to do that. If you're an expert in climate science, for example, why need to listen to a reporter who has no idea or no formal training in that type of field? You don't have to hear what they're learning about whatever science is going on and then them translate it for you. You can go directly to the source and hear directly from that scientist. I think the example of Andrew Huberman is a perfect example of somebody who is a subject matter expert, and rather than you having Oprah or whoever filtering what he's saying and reporting it back to you with these clickbaity headlines, you're able to go directly to the source and choose those sources for yourself and vet them independently. The second one would be to nurture leads. If you have this large database of leads, many times, as we all know, purchase decisions require multiple touch points. Rarely do you ever find a customer who's ready to buy in the first try. If you've been in email marketing, you probably understand the pain point of a manager or a boss who just wants you to keep hammering the email list with promotions and just being like, hey, send another promotion, send another discount. People don't respond to that because there's no transfer or value being given and taken. It's always trying to get the person to convert. And so newsletters are a prime way to provide that value to customers and provide a meaningful touch point as they go through the customer lifecycle. Another way that this can help, providing education that improves chances of conversion. If you're owning the newsletter or if you're advertising in the newsletter, both of these have the same effect of being able to provide that deeper relationship. And lastly, education and retention kind of plays on that second one, where it really gives you a unique format to really dive deep into a topic with customers. It doesn't have to be about your product. It can be about something tangential to your audience, but can establish you as a subject matter expert. All three of these are very powerful tailwinds to basically building your funnel, building customer relationships, and building authority with your customers. So enter Beehiiv as a standalone newsletter product. Prior to Beehiiv, the market has been dominated by jack of all trades tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Campaign Monitor, you name it. And Beehiiv comes in 3 years ago, and what we provided was a place where you can not only own your audience and build on your own land, which is different than something like Substack, where you're building on Substack's brand. You can really build on your own real estate, and we've built tools that are integrally valuable for the newsletter production process. So tools like I mentioned, these traditional email tools lack the workflows to be efficient. They're overly complicated. They're not tooled for engagement necessarily. They're very much tooled for conversion and kind of the sales tactic rather than the education and relationship building that I just mentioned. So in terms of building a newsletter, there's really good reasons to build a standalone newsletter product, not just from our perspective of building the platform, but from your perspective for your business. And so what this can do is allow you to own an asset that's going to educate, engage, entertain your customers while you're continuing to warm them up until they're ready to make a purchase. It provides value to existing customers, attracts net new customers via readership and subscribers, and creates an additional revenue stream if you decide to monetize in that way, which we'll get into. So a couple case studies here. Milk Road started from zero with us, grew to several 100,000 subscribers and sold for 8 figures, covering crypto news. They really basically brought a lighthearted, humorous approach to the crypto markets, basically taking all of the news, all of the headlines, and simplifying them in an easy to read, easy to understand format, very similar to something like the Morning Brew, almost like the Morning Brew of crypto. You can see engaging people through showing latest prices, memes. Here's an ad where they can basically monetize by providing ads to different tools within the crypto space, referral program to grow the newsletter, all kinds of stuff here. Milk Road started in 2022 with 0 subscribers, discovered a format and voice to serve large industry with relevant, engaging content, scaled the newsletter, grew from 0 to 250,000 in 10 months. That's the other part. This happened very quickly. They did this over the course of 10 months and was required for nearly 8 figures. This was not part of an existing brand, but just goes to show that you can start something from nothing. These folks who started didn't have a massive owned audience to begin with, didn't do this underneath the aegis of a different brand. Truly were able to create this and basically grow from there. Another example, this is an IT support group, another newsletter about your IT career. Again, not started strictly by a specific brand, but has been finding a very useful or salient niche within IT professionals, but generating $80,000 a year from 14,000 subscribers. They're not spending a ton, but optimizing the experience, the engagement of their subscribers, getting them to share, getting them to grow, and seeing the dividends of that in terms of growth. They're doing this primarily through advertising revenue and leveraging Facebook groups for some of their distribution. It's very different than Milk Road, a lot of link aggregation, useful resources for IT professionals. They are doing sales. So this IT group is a very kind of professional B2B group, very focused around potentially the buying process for B2B products, makes it very valuable to B2B companies that are trying to sell to that audience. So advertising can be really valuable. You can see engaging users with member spotlights, putting a human face on it, and just basically creating content that people want to come back to and engage with. So nurturing leads, the next thing you can do. So first, starting a standalone newsletter, you've outlined why it's viable, why it's useful, why you should do it. Second is why you should use this specifically to nurture your leads. So one, it's much easier and cheaper to optimize for newsletter subscriptions versus a full conversion. If you're selling a $1,000 course, if you're selling a multi-$1,000 SaaS product, as we'll go into, the economics of the number of leads you need to bring in or the number of people you need to expose your marketing messaging to get a demo is very high compared to the number of leads and demos you're going to get. And so the way that you can make that a little bit easier is so that you don't have to keep paying for those touch points over time through a subscription. As you get that subscription, you're going to build that brand affinity, build that connection with your user, making the sale easier and building your own credibility. And then as you grow, if you do this right, you can really self-fund the newsletter. So those that are running advertising or running some sort of premium subscription or affiliate links or selling some sort of lower ticket product through the newsletter, you can very easily self-fund this project into its own thing. So it's costing $2 per subscriber and you're able to make $2.50 for a subscriber, you have a negative CAC of 50 cents, which means you've basically unlocked an unlimited money growth machine. Lastly, better educated customer is, as I think I alluded to this before, is a higher quality prospect for conversion. So somebody who knows you, knows about your solution, knows about the industry, is going to be much easier to talk to about the solutions that you provide or the need for a solution like the one that you provide if they have better knowledge. As I mentioned, a little bit of quick math here. So if you're HubSpot, we're going to use the HubSpot example. HubSpot bought the newsletter The Hustle a couple years ago, multi-million-dollar deal. Why did they do it? It just comes down to the math. HubSpot Enterprise starts at roughly $60,000 a year. If you assume a lifetime value of 2 years and a target CAC of 3x, that means the target cost to acquire a customer could be as much as $40,000. That means that if if you're optimizing for, that means if you want to acquire one user, you're going to spend $40,000 to do it. That's ads, that's events, that's all of these different things. Now, if you take the approach of not going directly for that user and marketing to them directly, but taking an approach of, okay, we're going to build this longer term relationship. If you take that the average newsletter subscriber costs about $2 to acquire, then you only need to build a newsletter that's going to convert 1 in 20,000 subscribers, which sounds low because it is. Because if you can get that audience of 20,000 people, you're going to have far more than just one person buy your product if you're targeting the right audience. I think that most of us marketers here see a 0.005 conversion rate and can say, I could beat that any day of the week in my sleep. So this will be included in the deck. I don't want to go over all these specific numbers, but basically, if you can monetize your newsletter, you can not only can you basically, your HubSpot's case, not only can you bring down that cost to acquire customers, and that if you can convert those customers at a 1% rate, you're dramatically cutting your cost to acquire. I think if you dropped it down to a 0.1% rate, you'd be dropping it by either 20 or 200x, which brings it down to, I think, either $2,000 or $20, something like that, $2,000, $200. But when you actually look at the economics of what you can do in terms of growing a newsletter as a standalone product, it's not only a sunk cost. That $40,000, if you put it into the newsletter, is not just burning that money like you were doing if you're just putting it into Google Ads. With a newsletter, if you're acquiring those subscribers, there's ways that you can monetize, many different ways you can monetize. Job board, you have ads, you have premium subscriptions, you have affiliate links, you have products, courses, coaching, webinars, calls, whatever you can think of, you can sell it in service to that kind of big ticket item. But if you are building this newsletter, and there's some open rate numbers here and the lifetime that you could expect to keep that customer. And basically what we have here is this revenue per subscriber. So the ones in green basically show where at a $50 CPM for a B2B newsletter, monetizing only through advertising sent Monday through Friday, the revenue per subscriber you could expect is well over $2, which means if you're HubSpot and you're acquiring subscribers at $2 a piece, not only is your CAC going to be negative selling your enterprise product, but your CAC acquiring individual subscribers is going to be negative because you're earning more than $2 for each of those subscribers. And it really shows how you can then scale this enterprise infinitely. So I should just stop talking and just let the slides do the talking. But if you look here, you can see basically as you move across your budget for the number of customers you're trying to acquire, the number of subscribers you'd need, you basically can see basically what the LTV is versus your costs and so forth. And I think that this is basically comes to where we were talking about before. You can go into this, but this basically explains what I was talking about before. So all of this is leading to HubSpot bought The Hustle a couple years ago. People ask, why do they do that? As a newsletter, you're an enterprise SaaS company. Why would they buy a newsletter? It's because this newsletter was in the inbox of basically every up-and-coming young professional who is tied into the business news world. These are prime HubSpot customers. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but the idea is you get the newsletter, you get The Hustle, you're getting all of these editions, and you see the little HubSpot logo. You see this over and over again, you're tied in, and then next time you're at work and somebody's like, hey, we're evaluating different CRMs, or hey, we need to implement a CRM. What do you have in mind? Do you know of anything? Or you're starting a startup, or you're at a small business and you say, hey, we need a CRM product. Of course, many of us can't name too many CRM products. Well, I guess maybe we could because we're marketers, but like most regular people wouldn't necessarily be able to name CRM products off the top of their head. Maybe most people say Salesforce, but Salesforce sucks. So nobody wants Salesforce. And so what do you say when you've been reading this newsletter and you see the Hustle logo all over the place and you've seen it every day for a couple of years? You can say, of course, I'm going to go for HubSpot, and the rest is history. So just examples of how they basically take this very Morning Brew-esque approach to business news, a little bit more humorous, and have built this into its own media brand that now is HubSpot's owned media outlet. Doing not just newsletters, also expanding to podcasts, also expanding to YouTube media, and ultimately tying in with the HubSpot ecosystem like this, where instead of having an ad for some random company, their ads are basically get this free checklist of how to leverage AI. And that pushes to HubSpot's landing page. Now you're cookied. Now you've shown interest that you're potentially looking into, obviously, how to adopt AI. You may be somebody who's a buyer for CRM products, now you're a warm lead for their sales team. Same thing. Another example, big one in the business world, CB Insights. So offering news around VC and fundraising, very successful newsletter from their CEO, providing all kinds of insight into the world of fundraising, very data focused, very different than the Morning Brew approach, very nuts and bolts, very technical, a lot of data, a lot of numbers. The idea being they sell a very high ticket data product, access to their database and their information tools. And so if they can get users here subscribed, they know that these people are interested in data. They're interested in keeping an eye on what's going on in the business world. And if they're interested in that, they can see how high quality the data is from these reports, then there is a good chance that down the road, they may be interested in actually paying for some of this company's proprietary research. And so the difference here, the reason why we use this example, it's a little bit different than the Hustle, where the Hustle is branded at arm's length. CB Insights, by contrast, is sending this as themselves. Actually comes, the from person is literally their CEO. You can see here within their email, they subtly drop hints of, hey, you might want to see how CB Insights can help you make better tech decisions and lead you to their free trial. Demo of the research platform, and so forth. So we've shown how standalone newsletter, not only good for business, but perfect for nurturing leads, building your funnel. So now how are we going to, that third part of the system, education and retention. One of the values of the newsletter, obviously, and some of this might feel a little bit redundant as we've talked about, I tend to jump ahead a little bit, but remaining top of mind as you continuously educate customers, optimize adoption and repeat usage and repeat sales. It doesn't just end once somebody becomes your customer. Obviously, when you can build this relationship with folks, it's not just in service of a sale. Remember what I said at the beginning of the call. It's not about just getting them in and making a sale right away. Even if you do end up making the sale, that's not the end of the game. It's about providing value over time, because at the end of the day, almost nobody has a product where you need to make a sale once and then you never care about the customer again. Almost all of us are building businesses where either there's an upsell, there's a recurring aspect to the product, you want them to buy again. And this is where that kind of continuing education can come into play. If you have a resource where you're continuing to get value day in and day out, say I buy your product, but then I keep hearing from you, I keep getting free value. Somebody else comes to me and tries to sell me something, I have that relationship, even if it's a one-to-many, I have that relationship with your company where I'm daily reminded of the value that I'm getting from either you or your company, which can help, one, build a moat, but also aid in that retention and in some ways evangelism. And if I share the newsletter, I have a coworker who's, hey, I want to learn more about marketing. Oh, great. Here's this marketing newsletter that I really love from this person that we use. Anyway, and again, all of these things build on each other. It's building this flywheel where you can leverage your existing assets, your existing customer emails, existing guides and content and expertise to continue to basically double down and deepen the value. I think we mentioned this before, but increasing quality customers via education, building those habits, building that relationship. Not only if they're opening your emails, are they going to be more likely to continue opening a newsletter, but if you then do have a promotional aspect to your business, they're certainly more likely to open those. If they have a habit of opening every email you're sending because it's a newsletter, if you send an email that is a promotion, obviously you can't do it too often, but they're likely to open that as well. Again, here, Robinhood, nothing they do with Robinhood Snacks is directly necessarily related to getting somebody into the trading app. But if you are a trader on Robinhood and you're getting your basically signals from, you got to get your signals from somewhere. You want to be trading, you want to be trying to beat the market, whatever you're trying to do, you're going to be consuming content around the latest and whatever breaking news about whatever companies. And so what Robinhood has done is that but in addition to using this as a acquisition channel, it's the perfect type of tool to continue that long-term engagement, because it's the type of thing that even after you're on their platform, if you're getting your trading news from them every morning, it's just deepening that value that you're not only getting from Robinhood, because you're going to take that knowledge and you're going to trade on it, but you're going to keep on opening it because you want to get the new knowledge every single day. You can see here that they're not just sponsoring themselves. They're actually running this as a standalone publication, sponsoring by Masterworks, which is a company for investing in art. So a huge overlap. Somebody who's interested in investing in the market, and you have an advertisement for a company that allows you to advertise in art. Perfect alignment. I'm sure that ad does really well, and they're happy to pay whatever Sherwood wants to charge for it. But it just goes to show that this is not necessarily, again, this is like continuous everyday value that is not necessarily in service of selling, but it almost provides like a network effect to the initial product. Because most of the time, if you're like me, you open up Robinhood, you see all the different, you can put in a ticker symbol, but I don't know. I look at the options chain, and I'm like, whatever I seem to do, it seems to do the opposite. So I just don't do any of it. It's if I buy a call, it goes down. If I buy a put, it goes up. Clearly, I'm not doing something right. Maybe I should listen to Robinhood Snacks and basically know better what I should be putting my laying my bets on. This kind of just covers what I just said. So Robinhood indirectly earns revenue when users buy and sell shares in their app. Sending them the daily newsletter keeps them top of mind, contains the business information to help them trade smarter, building a trust and stronger brand. So I should just stop talking and just read these slides because that's why they're prepared. Buffer, a company that does social media. This is the logo I couldn't remember before because their logo was cut off. Buffer is a social media scheduling platform. So they have these newsletters on social media, what's going on in the social media world, deep dives, different tips and stuff like this, but very similar game as Robinhood, obviously, because it's part of the same section. But in this case, they're providing content around trading and social media best practices, things that are going on new in the world. And so what do you think you're going to do when you see, this new feature from one of these platforms? You're going to go to your social media platform or scheduling platform and you're going to test it out. And this just basically doubles down on that value. Okay, that makes sense. There were 2 slides that were taken out and rearranged. I didn't know where they went, but it must go here. This was for Brex. There's 2 other slides that got taken out, but basically Brex is a business banking card, but similar to what we've shown before. It's basically another business newsletter where it gives you insights into the business world. It helps you up-level your career and build connections so that Brex is top of mind when you need a banking solution. So we've gotten to the part that I think most people probably showed up to get. We're going to go through the steps of building a successful newsletter, whether you're building for yourself, whether a side hustle, your company, your agency, your coaching business, whatever we have here. Actually, if you could in the chat, we'll make this a little interactive. What types of businesses are everyone building? We'll just do a little sound off in the chat. I would love to see a little bit more about what we have going on here. So coaching, sweet. This is perfect. This is like the newsletters are the perfect medium for coaches, fundraising and consulting. Cool. Yeah. So anybody who's in like a service business, whether you're an agency, coach, consultant, newsletters are such a no-brainer because these businesses fundamentally revolve around developing your thought leadership and staying top of mind. So if you have existing clients, them receiving words from you every day saying that giving them information on whatever topic they're in is such a no-brainer in terms of keeping yourself top of mind so that if they've hired you, they feel affirmed in that decision to hire you and obviously happy with that decision because they see how smart you are. They can share that content with other people. If they are not yet your clients, it just builds that authority so that when they are ready to pull the trigger, they're confident that you're the right person to choose. Obviously, we've talked about monetization. There's a bunch you can do in terms of monetization. If you're selling a higher ticket product, again, the education creates better customers. There's so much alignment, and that's one of the reasons why we see coaches do very well with newsletters. It's all about picking the right topic and nailing the distribution, which we'll get into. Cool. We call this the ladder. It's just the process for building that successful newsletter. There should actually be another line that basically, I guess maybe just only goes from monetize to grow, but I was going to say you could go through the whole thing. You could conceivably go through the whole thing. Once you've built one newsletter, you have the experience and you have the knowledge that there's really nothing stopping you from starting another one. There's a bunch of people in our ecosystem, our company, who just realize once you get the hang of it, people are just hungry for content. If you can create good content, there's no reason to just rinse and repeat this process. But if you are focused on one newsletter, I'd say it goes up and then this just becomes a flywheel. You monetize, put that money into growth, monetize more, you get more money you can put into growth and you just take off. Yes, Patrick, the slides will be available after the call. We're going to record this. We're recording this call and we will be providing the slides in the next couple of days. You'll get a link with where to find it. Perfect. So first step, building the foundation. Pretty classic marketing kind of 101 type of thing here. You need a landing page where you're going to send your subscribers to once you start distributing or building your distribution. So whether you're reaching people from social media, if you already have their emails, then that's pretty easy. But if you are doing cold outreach or if you're doing ads or you're doing any other type of marketing, you're sharing on Reddit and building your thought leadership there, you're going to need a landing page to send these folks. Newsletter design, we actually had a webinar today at noon around great newsletter design. We'll have a We'll have that also online. If you guys check back in a couple of days, where we're going to send this link for this presentation, there's going to be a new presentation. You'll see the whole archive of all of our webinars. I think we've done 20 in the last 2 months. And so there's a lot of great content there about kind of master classes on how to build your newsletter. But today's specifically was about newsletter design, content strategy. So what are you actually going to be writing about? What's your tone? Who are you writing to? Who is your audience? Really nailing and figuring out that. It's very much like a startup in that we actually call it content market fit versus product market fit, but it's really the same thing. When you're in the beginning steps of building your newsletter, you really need to nail what is my unique angle, who am I serving, what is the unique value I'm providing. This is really the toughest part. And we always start each of the other webinars with the foundations, and the foundation really starts with knowing your audience. So if you're a coach, you guys probably know your customers pretty damn well, exactly who they are. You can picture them in your head if I told you to close your eyes and think of your perfect customer. And that's like a perfect position to start when you're building a newsletter. It's also probably another reason why coaches kill it with these newsletters, because they have a very clear idea of who they're talking to. But once you understand who that person is that you're trying to write for, it becomes really easy to understand what are their fears, what are their desires, what problems do they have, what problems can you solve for them, what type of angle, what do they find funny, what do they find off-putting, and avoid that, but double down on like things that they like. But all of these things amalgamate all together into your content strategy of what is your unique value, what is your unique voice, what is your unique niche. Probably don't have to tell most of the people here, but like the riches are in the niches. You know, if you're a coach, you may offer a bunch of services, but if you can become like the guy for a specific niche and really get quite specific. I use the example of my girlfriend with this. She's gluten-free and dairy-free. Her dietary options are very limited. And so I'm thinking about starting, if I was going to start a foodie newsletter, just saying I'm going to write about good food, I'm going to write about the best food. It's very broad. You're going to get very little engagement because most people don't think about food as just a broad category. They think about, okay, cool, I'm eating keto, I'm eating vegetarian, I'm vegan, I'm carnivore, I'm whatever. And that's even still a very broad niche, but most people fall into those categories. And so even if I was going to say, okay, I'm going to start a vegetarian foodie newsletter, it's still so broad. There's so much nuance even within there. But if I went and I said, I'm starting a pescatarian, vegan, or pescatarian, gluten-free, dairy-free newsletter, I can't tell you how many people we've met who have the same dietary restrictions, and they basically just freak out when they meet each other because it's like they face so many similar challenges that it's such a joy when they're able to find somebody who relates to them. And so I promise you, if you wrote a newsletter targeting that audience, it may sound so niche, but I guarantee you, anyone on social media, anyone on the internet who saw, hey, I'm starting this newsletter that has recipes and resources for people with this very specific dietary kind of choice, you'd get immediate response because they would feel seen. And that's at the end of the day what you're trying to do. You need to solve those problems and make your subscribers really feel seen and connect with them. So there's a reason why I spend so much time on content strategy. It's really all of that involved in that is really the most incredibly important part. And then it wouldn't be a marketing presentation without talking about the pixels, tracking, all of that stuff. You can set up ad optimization, your Google Analytics, your meta pixel, all of those things, so that when you are driving people to your landing page and to the site where you're going to collect their information, you're able to not only get the feedback loop that people are subscribing, but you're able to monitor that, determine your conversion rates, determine your cost per lead, your click-through rates, everything like that. So foundation, landing page. This was a newsletter called The Ponderer, very design forward, minimalist, very clear, distinct brand identity. When you hit the landing page, join free, very simple landing page, AI newsletter for smart creators. If that's what you're into, then this might be a great newsletter to sign up for. From there, once you have your foundation set, you've set up everything, time to launch the newsletter. So you upload a customer list. If you have one, most people here probably do. You start to write your first post. You can design that post. You can get you already got your design settled in the first step. So you're ready to write and hit send. And so now you're at the point where you're ready to grow your list. So there's a few different traffic or channels that we see work particularly well. Organic traffic. So there's a couple different flavors here. This is social, posting on LinkedIn, posting on X or Threads or wherever your audience is. Maybe they're on Facebook. And then the other one is SEO. So having a archive for your content that is going to be discovered by Google and search engines so that you can, over time, build up your archive and just collect subscribers on autopilot through organic discovery. Paid traffic, so we're talking about ads on Google, YouTube, display, social media, X, Meta, LinkedIn, Pinterest, if that's where your folks hang out. Referral programs, Beehiiv has one built in, but there's plenty of tools out there that you can plug into your newsletter to create a referral program. So this is going to be either unincentivized. So just say, hey, if you like this, share this with a friend. Or if you have a tool like ours, you can set up milestones and rewards. You can say, if you share this with one person, I'm going to send you this guide on how to be a healthier version of be a healthier you. Or if you refer 5 friends, I'm going to send you a mug. If you refer 15 friends, I'm going to send you a sweatshirt, whatever it is. So you can set up any kinds of rewards, any kind of milestones. But we see that those incentivizations of referrals work. And I'd say this is probably particularly useful in the coaching space if you can pick the right rewards, because I'm not the most familiar person with the coaching space or consulting space, but I imagine a lot of your customers come from referrals. If I'm totally wrong, correct me in the chat. I'm happy to be corrected. But my understanding is that like a lot of referral traffic. So one person, if you're doing like executive coaching, one executive referring you to another one, or if you're doing personal fitness, somebody's, oh, wow, I thought you were fat before and now you're really fit. What happened? Hey, I got this coach. And he's, oh, proof is in the getting fit. So then they want to go to you and use them as your coach. All of these sorts of things. Lastly, recommendations. So these are, Beehiiv specifically has a couple different mechanisms for recommending other newsletters or recommending newsletters that you've partnered with. We have both organic recommendations where you can partner with other newsletters and say, hey, when somebody subscribes, I'm going to recommend your newsletter as well, and they'll recommend yours. We also have a paid version that we call Boosts, where you can actually sponsor those recommendations. And so if you find if there's a business newsletter and you're an executive coach, you could say, hey, I'd like to build my executive newsletter. There's no conflict of interest. You guys are doing news, we're doing more professional development. When somebody subscribes to your newsletter, if they join mine as well, I'll pay you $2. Or you can do it the other way around. You have the coaching newsletter and you want to make money. The business newsletter may come to you and say, hey, we'll pay you $2 for every subscriber you send our way. And in that way, you can do that. Wow, Cody, amazing. I think that's Cody from Growth Tools, right? So a little less. Got really excited for a second. I guess I should still be excited. But the proof is in the pudding with Cody. That's why I'm here. Doctor, I don't know if there's a last name there, but Doctor, we'll just call you Doc. We don't have phone support right now. We do have an AI chat support, but we are working on doing a couple different ways of enhancing our support. We do have a very world-class support system. We recently made some major changes. I won't go into the details, but our support response time is very low, within, I'd say, probably an hour or a couple hours at this point, which is among email platforms, really industry leading. Let's not get too off track. I get distracted by the chat. When I'm doing my own news webinars, I'm like, we'll save the questions for last, but because this is what happens. I devolve. I've got some ADD. So back to growing the lists. So here we go. We call this the why. If we had the ladder, we call this the why. Look like the Village People, like YMCA. So you got customers and you got readers. They're all being filtered into your newsletter. And then at the bottom where this is pointing is your newsletter. I don't know why it's visualized like this. I didn't make the visualization immediately, or I didn't make it myself, but that's how you can see things working. So we got organic here. I forgot that we go into all these things, so I spent a lot of time on that slide. But organic growth, you have social media posts. Arnold Schwarzenegger's on Beehiiv, building his newsletter, plugs it within organic posts on Instagram. We also have great SEO. We have great scores with the different search engines so that your content will be indexed and served to users, very easy to rank. You can see here, Milk Road posted and was like number 1 for, I wish they had the search in here, but it was something like Bitcoin. It was like number 2 for a bit for a specific search. So there's that. Paid acquisition, paid ads for Instagram. There's this one's on Facebook, it looks like, or maybe LinkedIn. And then a actual newsletter ad. It's like Inception or one of those Russian dolls where it's like you can actually advertise your newsletter inside another newsletter. And it can be very successful in that way too. It's what better way to get newsletter readers than people who are already reading newsletters. Referral program, this is a perfect example. These are 3 great examples of what I described verbally. Again, I'm going to stop just talking and should just stick with the program. I made the slides for a reason. We have these different things where you can see 0 referrals, only 2 away from receiving an AI toolkit. This is a pickleball newsletter. You have 0 referrals. You're only 1 away from receiving, I guess they're giving away a paddle. That's pretty cool. I don't play paddle or pickleball, but that seems like it'd be a pretty cool reward. These work really well. Recommendations. These are those organic recommendations I was referring to. So yeah, you subscribe to Milk Road. Would you also like to subscribe to Short Squeeze or Exec Sum? This one has great memes on finance news, that sort of thing. You can see who referred you. So now we get to the monetize step. There's a couple different ways here. Obviously, I've alluded this, drop the breadcrumbs throughout the entire presentation, but you can sell your product, your coaching service, calls, webinars, anything that you have obviously can be marketed through a newsletter. There's like a whole list of things. We're in the midst of launching a completely overhauled version of our web CMS, and we will in January have a product that competes with like companies like Framer and Webflow for being able to create sites that are completely built from the ground up, bespoke. Obviously, we'll have templates to get you started quickly, but at some point in 2025, we'll have both support natively within the Beehiiv website architecture for simple courses and for communities that you can build inside those. So those are two kind of additions that you can go on. You can sell access to a community, but at the end of the day, you can sell access to all of these things. Big, huge things coming in 2025 for the website and being able to sell stuff through Beehiiv natively. But even before those come, you can still sell products. We hook into Stripe. So if you have a Stripe link, you can just drop those into the page builders that we have. But sell products. So here we go. I think in this way, so this is an example of somebody who's selling a strategy call. So they have a link at the bottom. You can book an hour, and they go here, and then you sell an hour of your time. Arnold Schwarzenegger selling his book. This person's selling coaching services, very relevant. And then we move on to ads. Beehiiv, since the time that this was built, we've launched our ad network. We actually have a functioning ad network where anybody on our paid plans can access and get sponsorships from brand name companies, Netflix, BetterHelp, HubSpot is actually, funny enough, one of ours. Tony, what are some other ones? I'm blanking. Always on the spot, just names. Yeah, I said those. Sorry, I'm talking to my producer right now. We have a bunch. I'm not on the ad network team, so they don't always come as naturally to me. Let me see if I can grab them real quick. But we have a bunch of really great brand names that are on the network that basically you get free access to. You can, of course, sell your own ads if you're interested, but you got a couple. So we got Masterworks, Brooklyn, Hymns, CrowdStreet, Babbel, the language company. There's tons of them. So anyway, the point is these aren't just no-name brands you've ever heard of. These are literally like the ones that your readers are going to be like, holy shit, how did they get a sponsorship from Netflix? They pay real money. Generally, you can choose CPM, so either get paid by on an impression basis. So if 1,000 people open your newsletter, you get paid on whatever that CPM basis is, or on a cost per click basis. So if you have a super high engaged audience, you're going to get a lot of clicks. You know, generally between $1, $2, $3.50. I think this should be edited. I don't think the average is quite $3.50 anymore. Maybe during the pilot period it was, but it's a little bit lower now that we did $1 million last month. So still quite small in the grand scheme of things, but that's $1 million up from 250K like 2 or 3 months ago. So we are growing that side of the business really quickly. And at the end of the day, you can sell your own ads, but it's way easier just to plug into this ecosystem. But you can if you want. We have tons of tools to be able to support being able to place those ads, be able to track the performance and report back to advertisers. And that's also something that's coming in 2025, greater support for bringing your own advertisers and doing automated reporting and invoicing and whatnot. So here you can see future party sponsored by Rainbook, placing these native format advertisements that look like the rest of the newsletter. These aren't banner ads. These aren't the really bad, irrelevant ones that Live Intent posts or that you see at the New York Times. And it's just like Vuori picture. In theory, I'm part of that audience, but I've never bought anything from them and not really interested in that brand. I was describing this before. So this is Boosts. These are all examples of different publications that are willing to pay you to refer subscribers to them. Of course, you can also be on the other side of that. You could say, hey, I'm willing to pay $2 for other newsletters to refer users to me as well. But this is real money. And the best part here is if you are the one paying for subscribers, if you're paying for growth, you only pay for engaged active subscribers. So we put the subscribers that are referred through a roughly 2 to 3 week kind of test period where we assess their engagement. And so basically there's no spam in that if somebody is just, if they're detected to not be like, if they're not engaging or if it's the same email signing up a bunch of times, we have very robust protection for that. So there's that. And then if they just sign up and they're a real person, but then they just ignore your emails, you don't pay for those. You only pay for the ones that actually end up contributing and reading and engaging with your newsletters. I like to say it's like the most ridiculously broken deal in marketing. It's imagine if you went to Facebook and Zuck was like, for every person that you pay to go to your site, I'm going to give you back the money that doesn't convert of the people who don't convert. That doesn't happen. It's like you pay $100 and if you get one conversion, they're like, you're out of luck. If you get two, it's okay, $50 CPC or $50 CPA. maybe it's unsustainable, but they don't care. For us, if you only pay for active engaged subscribers, it's incredible. On the other side, you are able to monetize, get paid for referring those people. And if you have a real engaged user base, nothing to worry about then in terms of the spam protection because they're real people. And it's one of the coolest parts, I think, about the Beehiiv platform. Paid subscriptions, we have an incredibly robust paid subscription infrastructure that rivals offerings from companies like Memberful and Patreon. If you want to do multiple tiers, so gold, silver, bronze, you can do lifetime payments, pay what you want. There's a bunch of others, annual, monthly. I think we're introducing quarterly soon. We're about to launch bulk payments, gifting. So if you wanted to buy subscription, if you wanted to sell 10 subscriptions to a company, so everyone in the company gets one, you'll have that ability. If you want to basically have it say, I'm going to buy a subscription and gift it to someone, we're just really heavily investing in the paid subscriptions part of our functionality, but it's really incomparable to any other newsletter platform or email company on the platform where you can sell subscriptions and monetize through that community aspect of subscription. And so what this means is maybe you have a newsletter that goes out weekly, but then your premium users get an extra email on Fridays or on Sundays or something like that. Or it's a completely paid newsletter where you only are receiving it if you are paying the $5 a month or whatever. And winners, yes, you can definitely put the Boost widget on a custom standalone page with an email opt-in. We have a widget that sits on any kind of third-party site. It doesn't have to be within Beehiiv or within directly when they subscribe. We also have the Boost widgets that you can put inside pages and you can put on emails if the users have qualified them for email sending. To go back one step, answering a question. This is why I normally don't do this. Okay, and we talked about that flywheel. It looks like we actually do have the little graphic of the circular motion, but you have your growth, you're going up and to the right with your subscriber base. You then are making more money through the monetization, and you can put that into growth, and your chart looks like that. I think this is the right way. Is it mirrored? If it's mirrored and it's looking the wrong way, then this is going to be terrible. But to me, that's going the right way. That's up and to the right from my perspective. I'm getting a thumbs up from Tony. So tying it all together, newsletters, I hope by this point I've made the case, an incredible standalone asset that not only can generate revenue for you, but also supercharge your business goals. If you've already got a customer list, you're already doing something right and you're primed for success. If you don't, there's never been a better time to start than today. Let this be the call to action that gets you to, oh, was it down? Damn it. Tony, you led me astray. Apparently it was down and to the right. I get so confused with the screen mirroring anyway, sorry. Anyway, you can build a newsletter, make a ton of money, sell more of your coaching services. It's a no-brainer, the best time to start today. Email's not going anywhere. Even as we see algorithms change, people get demonetized, reach limited, organic reach limited, people potentially canceling TikTok or whatever. I don't know what's going on with that now, but so much risk. There's obviously social media has its place as distribution, but what we see is the newsletter kind of being like the nucleus of your digital presence, where you use these different social media platforms as the pipes to bring money to you. It's like the money is there and it's coming to you, and it's coming to you from social media, from the search engine, from referrals, all these places, but it's coming back to your newsletter that you own, that is branded in your own branding, and that is your own asset that you can build, you can potentially sell, that you could do whatever you want with it. And compared to other things, it costs very little to start. Beehiiv is free. If you have less than 2,500 subscribers, above 2,500, we're one of the most affordable, if not the most affordable on the market. We don't take any percentage of any of your sales in terms of the premium subscriptions. We take a percentage of the boosts, but from the person doing the buying, not the person who's receiving. So it's really the best way to make your money and keep all of it. So give you these 3 takeaways. We're going to do something kind of psycho. I actually don't know if this link still works. I just copied this from the presentation that we had before. I don't know why it wouldn't work, but if you want to try it and somebody can tell me whether it works, I didn't test it ahead of time. So either it's going to be a nice surprise that this will actually be a cool little asset that you guys can download. It 404s, of course. Okay. So I will dig up that asset, and we will include that in the deck if it's worthwhile. I promise you that if you come back to the recording page, it will have something for you other than a 404. So I don't know how this was made or what. I actually didn't really know what it was. I forget what it was hosting anyway. So I just thought it looked really cool to have the last slide be a QR code. But you will have the opportunity to download a cool asset. We'll link something up, hook you guys up with something cool. But yeah, I'll leave this on the screen for a minute with the takeaways. I got a couple more minutes. I know it's a little after. If you have to jump, feel free. Obviously, I figure you probably would if you wanted to. But if you want to do a couple minutes of Q&A, I'm happy to stick around. If you want to drop some questions in the chat. Plug for Beehiiv, it's www.beehiiv.com, 30-day free trial. Caveat, our monetization tools, because of things like fraud and different types of validation with credit cards, they are behind the paywall. So it's all of the features I talked about in terms of growth and stuff are all available in our free trial. The monetization ones require an upgrade. We're very active on social. We're very active really anywhere digitally to engage and help out our customers. So I would love to see many of you giving it a shot. We're happy to help. And we're a very young company. Our 3rd anniversary is coming up on Friday. We've grown incredibly over those 3 years and really kicking ass and taking names within our industry. And even if it's not for you today, I guarantee you that you will be compelled to try us at some point, because we are building the best suite of tools for anyone building an audience digitally on Earth. With that, gave enough time for people to maybe drop some questions. Any questions? Thank you, Andy, for giving me so much support throughout the presentation. I couldn't have done it without you. Cody, I think, might have left, but appreciate Cody for inviting me to speak with you all today. Doc also had some good questions and also shared our Beehiiv link, so I'm very appreciative to you as well. Patrick, thank you for the effort in trying the QR code. And I will say, if you go, let's see if we can do this again. If you're still here, if you want to, you can use a code. I'm going to drop the link again, but I'm going to add my affiliate code. I don't get rewarded for this, but it'll give you a 20% discount for 3 months if you decide you want to upgrade. It's just like a VIA equals EJ. You just click on that and it'll automatically apply. You'll get a banner saying that you've been referred by me. And then the pricing, will show you the proper pricing when you get to the pricing screen, but just an easy way to get you some preferred pricing. I'll probably reach out to Cody and give him I think there's a code actually also, Tony. Am I wrong in saying there's like a code in the autoresponder email? I think there is. I'm pretty sure there is, because we offer a demo, but I think we also offer a code there. But we're also down to offer our little tokens of appreciation. Cool. I'll answer the one question and we can wrap up. Beehiiv is clean and sexy. I don't see why there needs to be any more to the question than that. That's enough of a reason why Beehiiv. But Beehiiv is clean and sexy. Why Beehiiv over the others like Substack and Ghost? So I would say Beehiiv versus Substack, it's super simple. Substack is more and more becoming a social media network more than a newsletter platform. There's a couple things they've done recently that are really unfriendly to creators and the businesses that we're creating in this way. Their app, for example, the whole point of email is for you to connect one-to-one with your users. So when they start diverting your subscribers to an app, they basically become the middle person between you and the subscriber. You no longer own that relationship. So that's one. After that, they created this notes tool, which is supposed to be like a Twitter clone, which then Twitter started to block their links. So you get limited distribution. It's also the point of being on notes is you need to have a big group of people there. And there's enough, but it's not huge. It's just like, why are you trying to be more of a social media network? The third thing is they recently added a different option to profiles where you can follow versus subscribe, which is like the antithesis to newsletter creation, because when you follow, you're not actually be able to communicate. You don't own that email. You can't communicate with them one-to-one. So that's the one. They're trying to be more of a social media network. But the other thing is more philosophically, we really see ourselves as almost like Shopify and Amazon battling it out. Neither one is really at risk of putting the other out of business. They don't actually really compete that much head to head. If you want to start selling a widget that you got from Alibaba and you want to set up a store in a couple hours and you want to start getting exposure to people who are just trying to buy the cheapest product the easiest way, you can do that and you're going to go to Amazon and you're going to have a fine time. If you actually want to start a brand, if you want to start a business and create an asset that you own and can build some equity in, you're not going to go to Amazon. You're going to go to Shopify and you're going to build your own brand using the best tools in the business to be able to offer you that foundation for your e-com venture. And in that way, there's a very similar dichotomy between us and Substack. Folks who don't really care about building a business, they just want to get whatever thoughts they're putting down into paper, onto the screen. They just want to get those thoughts out there. They're not worried about building that asset. They're not worried about building that brand. Substack's a great choice. And in fact, there's not that much overlap because the people who want that basically don't necessarily see that much value in Beehiiv because they don't want what we provide. In that case, in the other case, people who want to build a brand, they want to build an asset. It may take a little bit longer in terms of, okay, yeah, you have to know how to market, or you have to learn how to market. You have to learn how to distribute your content. These aren't bad things. These are valuable skills that add value and equity to your venture. Those people choose Beehiiv because Substack is trying to take their customers, takes 10% of their revenue, and isn't serving them the way that a newsletter, like they're not building a newsletter business there. They're building a way for them to reach customers. Beehiiv over Substack, super simple. Some of the other ones gets a little bit more nuanced. Ghost has a newsletter product. It's very basic compared to ours. Their newsletter, their website product may be a little bit more flexible because it's open source, but when we release our web builder, is going to be way more customizable without having to touch any code. We're more affordable. Our pricing scales better, and we have more features if those things are things that matter to you. And basically the same things can be said about other platforms. MailChimp, hard to use, expensive, very little innovation. All of these two things. We release features every other week. We have a product announcement coming up this week. Our last one was 2 weeks ago. We're launching major updates and features to the platform every 2 weeks, when pretty much every company that I've mentioned, they make feature releases like 4 times a year. We release 26 times a year. So most people want to be on the winning team in that way. All right, a lot more questions since I left. Okay, intimidated by tech. How do I get such glossy professional looks? My beast. We can certainly refer, Doc, we can refer you to some folks in our network. Our person today, we actually had a graphic design freelancer on today named Christina. I have no idea about her availability or pricing, but would be happy to refer you to any number of the people that are in our ecosystem. If you email me at ej@beehiiv.com, we can figure that out. That's ej@beehiiv.com. Cool. Boost widget and boost recommendations on the main. Yeah, so the other thing you can do with boost winners is like anytime you can, if you have somebody with an internal subscribe, you can redirect that user using like the redirect link. Your boosts always live at your website /recommendations. So like anywhere you have a subscribe, if you can redirect them to the recommendations page, like you will redirect them to the boosts. I think maybe that would solve your problem. If that doesn't, you can email me. Happy to work it out. Cool. Beehiiv versus ConvertKit kit. I don't want to dredge anything up here. If you missed the brand, their rebrand got like 20,000 impressions, and our campaign, our counter positioning to that got 2-point-something million. They've been around for 10 years and are flatlining in terms of growth. We're growing double digits every quarter. They have some momentum from being a legacy platform. I think any innovation that they've shown has been a direct response to us literally just like taking so many of their customers. They are, at this point in time, maybe they offer a little bit of a similar feature set. I think we do our execution better, and I think we have a better brand. We're certainly shipping more quickly, more fast. We're doing a lot of things way better. I think for a standalone product, if you have a web component, our website is, even without the new web builder, is better. I'd say I'm honest with people where we're weaker. We don't have as strong support for like automations around products quite yet. That's coming with web builder. And I think that's really it. Everything else that I think we edge them out. We have a better ad network. I have more faith in our Boost product. They actually bought a company that was floundering to offer that feature. But yeah, I think the design, you have much more flexibility with Beehiiv. Website design, much better. Cool. Going down. Data visualization and analytics. Somebody here, power user after my own heart. Cool. Yeah, I can, we'll do a live. We'll see how this goes. I love live demos, but they're always so risky. I'm always down to give it a shot. All right, cool. We're there. All right. So let's see. Let's go to our product updates, because we actually send newsletters from there. All right. So data visualization. This is our dashboard. We cleaned our list a little bit, which is why you see the drop, but make sure there's no personal data. So we have a tool. We have a suite of reports that are by far the most comprehensive analytics, data visualization analytics tools among the platforms out there. And basically gives you really deep insight into how your newsletter is growing, where you should double click, and so forth. So this is a view just looking past 30 days, breaking out new versus new subscribers, or sorry, active versus inactive subscribers, where those subscribers came from. If I wanted to sort and look and see metrics around people who came from recommendations from the blog. This is somebody subscribed to the blog and then does recommendations. This is what that's going to look like. So we probably had some posts that got sent out those days and dropped some stuff there. So you can really double click here, number of posts sent to. This doesn't look right because we have 200,000 people on this list, but this might just be cut off. When we look at performance, open rate, you can really dig into any of these here. So open rate, click rate, unsubscribe rate. If we had a premium offering as part of the product updates, you would be able to see the upgrade rate. You can filter these by any of those sources. So if I wanted to see people who subscribed organically on the site, you'd be able to do that. So 40% open rate, 3% click-through rate, 3% unsubscribe rate from people coming from our main site. If I'm tracking like UTM campaign, I could filter by that. We give you the data here, just the raw data. All of this can be exported in a couple different formats. So if I download results, I can get any kind of format for visualization tools. And these are 4 different tabs. Oh, cohort analysis. This is one of the coolest ones. So this is going to show you the number of people who are active subscribers, which means performing at least one single open or click within a month. And so this is actually it's a little bit hidden, but one of the coolest things here where we can see this is the breakdown of, it's a waterfall cohort analysis. So like people who joined in the month of June of last year, this is the rates of engagement. So over time, of course, your audience drops off, but being able to see like people who signed up in June, 30% of them were active. And then for whatever reason in July and then August and September of last year, we had this big jump in engagement. And so you can really see when you double down, let's see, I think one of our sources is like auto sign up. Yeah, so these are probably some welcome emails, or maybe it's just a few. But if we do the same one, like the website folks, I'm flying a little bit blind because I don't have the list in front of me. But you can just basically parse out your different sources. Let's see if anybody from Facebook, do we have this now? Facebook, is it FB? Maybe more there. We don't do a lot of lead gen to product updates, but you can see this. This is really neat. So this is just one of our reports, these 4 tabs. We also have one specifically looking at the different posts. So this is accurate. So this is basically the number of posts delivered, opens, unique clicks per open. That's 2.5%. Yeah, that's right. And then unsubscribes, spam reports. And you can see these over time. You can look at the individual posts that have been sent. So right now it's over 30 days. We've only sent 2. But if I extended this to like the past 1 year, it might actually take a minute to load. Let's hope not. But we can really start to see a lot more data. So we can see these are the web clicks over time, web views over time, open rate over time, delivery rate over time, and so forth. And if we had one of these posts where we're like, okay, how did our last post perform when we announced RSS to send? We can put this specific email in, or the subject line of this email, and we can see exactly how a specific send performed. We can see what the URLs that were clicked. So in this case, people clicked to those settings to view the tool in the product. And from here, if we wanted to see our top posts, it's similar to the other view where you can see your top posts. You can sort by top open rate, top click-through rate, top clicks, top opens. Give it a sec. There's a lot of data. Sometimes it takes a second. There we go. And so, yeah, I guess within this time period, there's only the 2 right here. But the last one is in this clicks report. So if you're doing affiliate marketing or you have something where you're tracking and reporting on clicks, you can also basically see here basically what your top clicks are. People clicking on the Monetize. Of course, we're going to strip out the UTM parameters so you can see just the actual pure clicks themselves. Super useful. Aside from that, the other place to see reporting is we have it on the post level. If you're just interested in a specific email, you can look here. You can see the number of recipients, delivery rate, open rate, click-through rate, unsubscribe rate. You can break that down by web or email. If you have this is actually something we just released, so you can see your most engaged subscribers, number of people who did the most total opens. There we go. Total clicks. If you wanted to search and see, let's see, Tyler at Beehiiv, our CEO. Let's see. I should probably not be sharing that part. We'll keep it here because this is PII. But this is Tyler. We can see he opened it once. And then A/B testing. No, we didn't A/B test this post. And then paid subscriptions. If we had paid subscriptions, you'd be able to see that data here. Pretty robust, not pretty robust, very robust. And then last thing, your at-a-glance metrics here, audience, your rates of unsubscribes and subscribes, where they're coming from, who's referring you traffic, engagement rates, your top posts over a specific period of time. You could do this too. You have a bunch of different ways to view the data, slice and dice it, break it down. And the result is just a ton of actionable insights that you can draw based on whatever your particular use case is. Recommended service provider to help me move from Kit to Beehiiv. We actually have a promotion that Tony's going to hate me because I think we ended it on the 31st, but we actually have a deal. Tony, drop that link unless we've turned it off. I hope we didn't, but we actually have a promotion that I'm going to extend in this call where we're offering bespoke onboarding to people who are moving from Kit to Beehiiv and 6 months free and $500 credit to our Boost network. One more couldn't hurt, right? I know you already need 26 hours in a day to get done all the work we're giving you, but we can put this off on somebody on the support team or the onboarding team. But if you click that link, Robert, you can see the details of that promotion. And then if you just fill out the form, we'll be in touch and we can figure out how to get you a person. All of the migrations are done by people on our team. We don't outsource any of that. So it's not like you're going through that route. You're not sacrificing anything. We just have that very specific route for migrations. And I hope I think we have some plans in the future to maybe not offer that same offer, but we do want to have a route where people who are migrating from other tools have such an easy, basically done for you approach. If you're coming from ActiveCampaign or Campaign Monitor or MailChimp as well. But yeah. Cool. Yeah, winners. So what you can do is if I'm here, I'll just show you real quick. If I'm here, I go to product.beehiiv.com. So if I'm here, I can just, from anywhere in the site, I can do recommendations. And it's going to take me here. So this could be any link. I could be on another website. I don't have to be on Beehiiv. I can go from anywhere. It'll take me here. And if I had Boost set up on our product site, this is where they would show up right up here. The way that you would do it through that subscribe form is under audience subscribe forms. If you create one, we'll just edit this one. And then if you do this, you would do redirect to an external page, even though it's not technically external, it's just redirecting to another page. You'd add put your own website name in here. And you're going to want to keep this unchecked because if you check it, it'll remove the email. But when you keep it unchecked, it keeps the email in the URL, which means it's going to automatically validate that user on the recommendation screen. The result of that is they're not going to be required to re-enter their email. And so if you're using like an internal subscribe form, but if you're using any subscribe form, this is the process you would do. Cool. I think that covers it. Doc, if you want to send us an email, ej@beehiiv.com about moving from Aweber, send me an email. We can see what we can do for you. And then, let me know how many subscribers you're looking to move over and a link to your either archive or an example of a past newsletter that you've sent. And I can talk with my team and see what we can put together for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your time. I'm surprised when I ended the conversation, we had 22 and we still have 19. So this is incredible that you guys have all stayed a little bit longer with us. I'm so thankful for your time and really appreciate you listening to me talk for almost an hour and a half. The dream to be able to just for part of my work to be able to just talk to people, but really appreciate you guys making that happen. You guys are what makes it all worth it. Give a quick round of applause to my wonderful producer, Tony, who is working after hours to make sure that all the links are getting dropped in the chat and whatnot. He's my partner in crime with these webinars and does such a great job. And so really appreciative to have him here. And a big shout out to Cody and Brian Harris and the whole growthtools.com team. Thank you so much for letting me speak with you today. Email is ej@beehiiv.com. You can reach me there and have a great evening wherever you are. It's evening where I am, so I'm going to have a good evening. I hope you guys have the great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.